Archaeologists found a door sealed for 5,000 years, but what was inside left them speechless. For hundreds of years, archaeology has helped humanity uncover countless secrets of the ancient world, from cities buried deep beneath the earth, shipwrecks resting on the ocean floor, to ancient tombs filled with mysterious artifacts, strange doors discovered far beneath the Great Pyramid, and even dark underground passageways. Every discovery has revealed another piece of the history of human civilization. However, not every excavation brings clear answers. Some skeletons have been discovered in bizarre positions that scientists still cannot fully explain to this day. Some ancient artifacts display craftsmanship far beyond the era in which they were created. And there are also mass burial sites that have forced archaeologists to ask difficult questions about war, disease, and mysterious ancient rituals. From the 5,000-year-old couple discovered in Kazakhstan, to the two skeletons found holding hands in London, England, to the 2,100-year-old human skeleton discovered at the bottom of the sea in Greece in 2016, all of them are discoveries that shocked the world of archaeology. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Ancient History, the channel that uncovers the terrifying mysteries of the past. In today's video, we are going to explore some of the most mysterious and horrifying archaeological discoveries ever found around the world. Ancient secrets that continue to challenge modern human understanding even today. Are you ready to explore these mysteries with me? If you are, then let's begin with our very first discovery right now. The strange door discovered inside the pyramid. Did you know that even though our planet may seem small, it contains countless fascinating places? Some are incredibly mysterious, places where, the moment people set foot there, they feel as if they are standing before something far beyond the history of humanity itself. And the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt is exactly one of those places. For more than 4,500 years, standing in the harsh desert of the Giza Plateau in Egypt, this colossal structure has continued to leave the entire world puzzled because of the countless mysteries that still cannot be explained. Of course, the most terrifying thing is not its enormous size, but the feeling that there is still something hidden inside the pyramid that humanity has never fully discovered. It is believed that the Great Pyramid was built during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu of Egypt's 4th dynasty. It is also the only one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world that still survives almost completely intact today. However, the more scientists study it, the more they realize that this structure appears to be far more complex than anyone ever imagined. Inside the pyramid, 3 main chambers are currently known to exist. One of them lies deep underground, carved directly into the bedrock beneath this massive structure. And it was this very place that sparked a story that shocked the global archaeology community. During a special expedition inside the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt, author and researcher Ben van Kerkwijk was granted private filming access inside the ancient monument for 2 full hours. At first, that may not sound unusual, but what caught people's attention was that while the rest of the group headed toward the famous Grand Gallery, Ben decided to separate from them and descend into the deep passageway leading to the mysterious chamber beneath the pyramid. Can you imagine what it feels like to walk alone deep underground inside an ancient structure more than 4,500 years old, surrounded by complete darkness and absolute silence, with nothing but cold stone walls around you? It was a feeling of unease and fear, and the deeper he went, the stronger that feeling became. According to Ben van Kerkwijk, the path leading downward was blocked by 3 enormous granite stones positioned directly across the passageway. From that point, the underground chamber lies about 256 feet beneath the surface. It no longer felt like an ordinary room, but more like an area deliberately hidden from the outside world. Then, upon entering the underground chamber, Ben discovered that the area was still filled with research equipment from the Scan Pyramids project, the famous scientific program that shocked the world in 2017 when it discovered mysterious voids inside the Great Pyramid using cosmic ray scanning technology. Special detectors had been placed deep underground to search for previously unknown empty spaces hidden within the pyramid's structure. This suggests that even modern scientists believe there are still secrets inside this monument waiting to be uncovered. But the thing that truly stunned Ben was located at the deepest part of the underground chamber. In near total darkness, where the light could barely reach, he noticed an incredibly strange detail. Hidden deep within the stone wall was a small door leading to a narrow and mysterious passageway that very few people had ever mentioned before. Just hearing about it is enough to send chills down your spine, isn't it? For thousands of years, the Great Pyramid of Giza has been considered humanity's greatest mysterious labyrinth. And now, beneath the base of this ancient structure, another strange doorway has appeared. One leading somewhere nobody truly knows. Could it be another secret chamber? An ancient tunnel system? Or something the ancient Egyptians intentionally concealed for thousands of years? What makes this even more astonishing is that, to this day, many areas inside the Great Pyramid still remain inaccessible. Modern technology can scan through stone using cosmic rays, yet scientists still have not fully decoded the structure's incredibly complex interior. And that is perhaps their greatest frustration. That is exactly why researchers say that the more they explore, the more they realize that humanity's understanding of the Giza Pyramid may only be the tip of the iceberg. Because hidden behind that strange little door may be a secret powerful enough to completely change everything we thought we knew about ancient Egyptian civilization. A 3,000-year-old buried city in Uzbekistan. The secret of a lost empire has just been revealed. Amid the dry, dusty lands of Uzbekistan, archaeologists recently dug beneath the earth and unexpectedly uncovered something that had been almost completely forgotten by history for thousands of years. At first, the site looked like nothing more than an ordinary mound of dirt sitting silently in the Surkhandarya region of Uzbekistan. No one imagined that beneath that layer of soil lay the remains of a massive ancient city that had existed more than 3,000 years ago. But the unimaginable turned out to be real. They discovered an enormous ancient city, and this city was not just a few ruined walls left behind. Its layout has remained almost completely intact, from its defensive walls, storage facilities, and residential structures to traces of the daily lives of ancient people. Archaeologists said the feeling was as if an entire civilization had been frozen in time beneath the earth for thousands of years, waiting for the day it would finally be discovered. The archaeological site, known as Bandihan No. 2, is located in the Surkhandarya region in southern Uzbekistan. The site was excavated by an interdisciplinary archaeological team that included members from the Institute of Cultural Heritage at Northwest University in China, along with several other research organizations. During the excavation of the eastern section of the site, archaeologists confirmed that the oldest layer beneath the ground belonged to an early Iron Age city dating from the 10th century BC and continuing to be used until the 8th century BC. In other words, more than 3,000 years ago, while much of the world was still made up of small primitive communities, a highly organized city-state already existed in what is now Uzbekistan, complete with an advanced urban construction system. This is now considered the largest and best-preserved city ruin ever discovered in the Bandihan Oasis. And the deeper the team dug, the more astonishing details they uncovered. They found the eastern city wall still remarkably well preserved. Even the foundation of the wall had remained almost untouched. Ancient builders first leveled the ground surface, then covered it with a layer of pure less soil before constructing the walls using a plastering technique. It may sound simple, but the method reveals an extremely sophisticated level of organization more than 3 millennia ago. The site contained more than just city walls. Inside the complex, archaeologists also uncovered a large storage facility built directly alongside a system of rooms within the wall structure itself. According to Zhu Jiangsong, a member of the interdisciplinary archaeological team and a lecturer at the School of Cultural Heritage at Northwest University in China, the eastern wall was divided into multiple rows of rooms by zigzag-shaped earthen partitions. 5 rooms have already been excavated, all aligned along a northwest to southeast axis. But the most mysterious discoveries were found inside those ancient rooms. Archaeologists discovered extensive traces of fire still preserved on the floors and walls. In one room, they even found the remains of an ancient earthen bed. Beside it was a small lamp niche built directly into the center of the northern wall. The niche had a flat base and an arched top, resembling a place once used to provide light during the dark nights thousands of years ago. What makes it even stranger is that the inner wall surrounding the niche had been hardened by heat into a reddish clay color, while black soot marks still remained clearly visible across the surface after all this time. Just looking at that scene is enough to imagine the ancient people who once lived there, cooking, resting, carrying out their daily routines, and lighting their rooms with small flames in the middle of a barren land more than 3,000 years ago. In addition to the architectural structures, Bandihan No. 2 also yielded a large number of ancient artifacts. Most were pottery items such as folded rim jars, flat-bottomed bowls, and plates. Archaeologists also discovered numerous stone tools used for grain processing, including grinding stones, pestles, and mortars. Several bronze artifacts, including knives and arrowheads, were also found, along with ancient seashells. Based on radiocarbon dating results, the archaeological team confirmed that the city was first established around the 10th century BC and remained inhabited until the 8th century BC. This city-state was once an extremely important part of the ancient kingdom of Bactria, a civilization that emerged after the Bronze Age cultures of the Sirhan River Basin declined and before the rise of the Achaemenid Persian Empire. And perhaps the most unsettling part is this. For thousands of years, this enormous city lay silently buried underground while almost no one even knew it existed. That possibility has led experts to suspect that even now, beneath the deserts and arid plains of Central Asia, countless other ancient cities may still be sleeping in darkness, waiting for humanity to accidentally awaken them once again. What about you? Do you think that could be true? Or do you have a different theory? If so, leave a comment below and let everyone know your thoughts. More than 100 mysteriously aligned, 72-million-year-old dinosaur eggs discovered in France. An area that once seemed peaceful has suddenly become the center of attention for paleontologists around the world after a massive collection of fossilized dinosaur eggs was unearthed from beneath the ground. What is truly astonishing is not just the number of eggs. What shocked scientists even more was the way these eggs had remained buried underground for nearly 72 million years. This remarkable discovery was announced by the Maze Dinosaur Museum in the Hérault region of southern France. During an excavation that began in October 2025 across an area of roughly 15 acres within a protected paleontological reserve, researchers uncovered around 100 fossilized dinosaur eggs. And that number could grow even larger if the excavation continues to expand. And you know something? After decades of research, most dinosaur nesting sites discovered around the world usually contain only a handful of eggs, perhaps around 10 at most within a single area. But this time, beneath the soil of southern France, hundreds of enormous eggs appeared together, stretching across the ground in long rows. Isn't that the kind of sight even veteran scientists have almost never witnessed before? According to geologist and paleontologist Alain Cabot, the owner of the Maze Dinosaur Museum, this is one of the most extraordinary discoveries he has seen in more than 30 years of researching and excavating dinosaur fossils. He explained that the eggs were not scattered randomly, but arranged in clearly defined lines. And this pattern is believed to have never been documented before at any known dinosaur fossil site. That detail alone is enough to send chills down your spine, because if these eggs were truly arranged in an organized pattern, it could suggest that the reproductive behavior of ancient dinosaurs was far more complex than scientists previously believed. The eggs discovered in Maze are almost perfectly round and roughly the size of a large throwing ball. Based on their shape and fossil structure, researchers believe they may have belonged to sauropods, gigantic plant-eating dinosaurs that once dominated Earth during the late Cretaceous period. These dinosaurs could grow up to about 50 feet long and weigh nearly 20 tons. Just imagining those enormous creatures gathering in ancient wetlands to lay their eggs creates a scene straight out of a cinematic blockbuster. But what may be even more fascinating is the land where these eggs were found. Scientists believe that between 75 and 65 million years ago, what is now southern France had a hot, humid tropical climate similar to parts of modern Central Africa. At that time, the region was not part of a large continuous landmass like it is today. Instead, it belonged to an ancient geographic region known as the Franco-Iberian Island. This area consisted of vast delta plains mixed with countless small islands and wetlands. That environment became the perfect breeding ground for dinosaurs. Researchers believe giant sauropod herds may have returned to this region repeatedly to lay eggs, much like certain modern animals instinctively return to the same breeding grounds generation after generation. That would explain why such a massive number of eggs were found. For millions of years, this place may have served as a gigantic dinosaur nesting ground, hidden from humanity until now, when it was finally uncovered by accident. According to Alain Cabot, The discovery in Mez could rival some of the world's most famous dinosaur egg fossil sites, including those in Argentina, the Gobi Desert in China, the United States, and Spain. And if future excavations uncover even more nests beneath the ground, southern France could become one of the most important dinosaur research locations on Earth. But perhaps the most thought-provoking part is this. For 72 million years, all of these eggs lay silently underground without anyone knowing they existed. While modern humans walked above them every single day, beneath the soil remained the traces of a world that vanished long before humanity ever appeared. And honestly, that is incredibly difficult to comprehend. Tomb buried beneath a lake in China reveals a shocking 2,500-year-old secret. An ancient tomb from thousands of years ago was discovered because someone simply went fishing? Would you believe that if I told you? If not, then let's travel to the Danjiangkou Reservoir in Henan Province, central China. That day, the lake was as peaceful as ever. The water was calm, a gentle breeze moved across the surface, and two fishermen named Li Ergin and Zhang Dazhu were busy with their usual work. But just a few minutes after casting their net into the water, both men realized something felt very strange. The fishing net suddenly became stuck at the bottom of the lake. Li Ergin pulled with all his strength, but the net barely moved. His face turned red from straining against the heavy resistance. Seeing this, Zhang Dazhu rushed over to help. The two men tightened their grip on the ropes and desperately tried to drag the heavy object up from beneath the water. But suddenly the rope slipped violently, sending both of them crashing backward onto the sandy shore with a loud thud. Right after the fall, the surface of the water began to churn. Several moss-covered green bricks unexpectedly rose from beneath the lake. Moments later, part of the muddy bank near the water collapsed, revealing a dark hole about 1.5 feet wide. A cold gust of air mixed with the smell of damp ancient soil drifted upward from below, leaving both men frozen in shock. Li Ergin panicked so badly that he thought they had accidentally opened the lair of something terrifying hidden underground. While neither of them dared to move closer, Zhang Dazhu bent down, picked up a rock, and tossed it into the hole to test its depth. Just a few seconds later, a strange heavy sound echoed up from below, making the atmosphere even more unsettling. But what caught Zhang Dazhu's attention most were the green bricks surrounding the opening. He realized the mortar binding the bricks together did not resemble modern construction at all. It was made from a mixture of ash and sticky rice paste, an ancient building technique that had been used in Chinese structures thousands of years ago. Immediately, Zhang Dazhu stopped Li Ergin from poking the hole with a bamboo pole. He said this could be something left behind by their ancestors and needed to be reported to the authorities right away. The two fishermen decided to stop fishing immediately. Li Ergin ran back to the village to call for help, while Zhang Dazhu stayed behind to guard the area, afraid someone might damage the site. Not long afterward, the village secretary and staff from the local cultural center arrived at the scene. When they saw the ancient green bricks, they initially believed the site was merely the remains of a Song dynasty kiln or an old drainage system. The two fishermen were even rewarded and given letters of commendation for reporting the unusual discovery. But everything began to change once news of the site spread across the region. Villagers from surrounding areas flooded in to see the mysterious hole for themselves. Among them were people with darker intentions, who secretly began digging around the site in hopes of finding ancient artifacts to sell. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, local authorities immediately reported the case to Henan Province's Cultural Heritage Department. Archaeological experts drove through the night to reach the site, and after conducting a detailed survey, they discovered that the original assumption had been completely wrong. What lay beneath the Danjiangkou Reservoir was not an ancient kiln or drainage system at all, but an enormous tomb complex, more than 2,500 years old, dating back to the middle period of China's spring and autumn era. The burial complex contained a total of 24 tombs of various sizes, along with several pits used for burying ancient chariots. However, the entire site was surrounded by water, making excavation extremely difficult. Archaeologists were forced to wait until the dry season before they could officially begin their research. But at that exact moment, tomb robbers secretly made their move. After hearing about the ancient burial site, they deliberately released water into the excavation area in an attempt to destroy the site and steal artifacts for sale on the black market. Several tombs were damaged before security forces managed to stop them. Furious over what had happened, local villagers began taking turns guarding the tomb complex day and night. County officials also assigned security personnel around the clock to protect the most important parts of the site. When the dry season finally arrived, the archaeological team immediately launched an emergency excavation because the rainy season was approaching once again. They worked from early morning until late at night while constantly monitoring the water levels surrounding the tomb complex. And then, the very first tomb they opened left everyone stunned. Inside were approximately 450 precious artifacts, including an exquisitely crafted square vessel with dragon-shaped handles and a beautifully made bronze rice bowl. After studying the ancient inscriptions carved onto the artifacts, experts from the Henan Provincial Cultural Relics Bureau confirmed that this was the tomb of Zijiadu, a high-ranking official of the ancient state of Chu during the spring and autumn period, along with members of his family. Zijiadu had served under 2 kings of Chu during the height of ancient Chu civilization. This discovery filled a major historical gap regarding Chu culture north of the Yangtze River and became the oldest known archaeological site of the state of Chu ever discovered in the Yangtze River region of China. And just think about it. From a single pull of a fishing net in the middle of a lake, 2 ordinary fishermen accidentally awakened an entire world that had been buried underground for more than 2,500 years. Isn't that incredible? The mysterious treasure inside a 2,000-year-old tomb in China that shocked the entire world. You know, there are treasures buried deep beneath the earth for thousands of years without anyone even knowing they exist. And sometimes, all it takes is an accidental explosion at a construction site to open the door to an ancient world that has been asleep for more than 2,000 years. And yes, that strange story happened in Manchang, located in Hebei Province, China. At the time, a military unit had been assigned to build an underground shelter system in the mountainous area. No one could have imagined that what seemed like an ordinary construction project would lead to one of the most important archaeological discoveries in modern Chinese history. During the construction process, soldiers used explosives to blast through rock and clear the site. But immediately after the loud explosion echoed through the mountains, the ground suddenly collapsed, creating a massive crater. What caught everyone's attention was that beneath the freshly fallen rock and soil, another hollow space appeared, one that clearly showed signs of having been created by humans long ago. At first, many believed it was merely an old tunnel or an ancient water storage pit. But when they moved closer, they realized the structure inside was completely unusual. Because of this, the soldiers immediately reported the discovery to the local cultural relics preservation authorities. Not long afterward, a team of archaeologists quickly arrived to investigate the site. And after an initial examination, the experts reached a conclusion that stunned everyone. What lay hidden beneath the mountain in Manchang was not an ordinary structure, but a massive Western Han Dynasty tomb more than 2,000 years old. The military construction project was immediately forced to adjust its schedule to make way for the excavation. The experts understood that they were standing before an incredibly rare opportunity. Most Han Dynasty tombs discovered in the past had already been looted by grave robbers hundreds of years ago. But this tomb was different. As the excavation officially began, everyone became even more astonished when they realized the tomb was almost completely intact. It had been built deep within the rocky mountainside, extremely hidden and difficult to access. That secrecy protected the tomb from treasure hunters for more than 2 millennia. Just think about that for a moment. An untouched royal tomb from the Western Han Dynasty. Doesn't that mean every treasure, every secret, and every trace of ancient life had remained frozen in darkness, waiting for modern humans to uncover it for the very first time after more than 2,000 years? And just as the experts had hoped, the tomb contained an enormous number of artifacts that shocked the archaeological world. The owner of the tomb was identified as Liu Sheng, the brother of Emperor Wu of Han, one of the most famous emperors in Chinese history. According to ancient records, Liu Sheng lived an extremely luxurious lifestyle, loved alcohol, and was well known for his indulgent way of life. Legends say he had many children and spent his days enjoying the wealth and prosperity of the Western Han Dynasty at its peak. The treasures excavated from the tomb were truly breathtaking. In addition to the incredibly famous jade burial suet, archaeologists also uncovered numerous priceless artifacts, including a gold-gilded Boshan incense burner and countless finely crafted bronze objects. But among everything discovered inside the tomb, there was one artifact in particular that left the entire world in shock. It was the Changshan Palace lamp. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary ancient bronze lamp, but the more experts studied it, the more they realized it was practically a technological miracle far ahead of its time. The lamp was crafted with astonishing precision. Its shape resembles a kneeling palace maid holding a lantern with both hands. But the most remarkable feature lies inside its design. The lamp contains internal smoke channels specifically created to draw smoke into a hidden chamber inside the structure, reducing the amount of smoke released into the surrounding air. In other words, more than 2,000 years ago, ancient Chinese craftsmen had already created a lamp capable of reducing indoor air pollution. Even many modern people find that difficult to believe. After all, ideas about smoke control and environmental protection are usually considered modern concepts. Yet the Changshan Palace lamp proves that ancient civilizations had already begun thinking about those problems thousands of years ago. Archaeologists believe the lamp's design is so sophisticated that many of its manufacturing techniques still impress researchers today. And because of its extraordinary historical and technological value, the artifact quickly became one of China's most famous national treasures. Today, the Changshan Palace lamp not only attracts visitors from around the world, but is also considered one of the most unique treasures ever created by ancient human civilization. Isn't that absolutely fascinating? The skeletons of a Romeo and Juliet couple found embracing inside a 5,000-year-old tomb. Amid the vast freezing grasslands of Kazakhstan, where wild winds have swept across the barren earth for thousands of years, archaeologists uncovered an ancient tomb that left the entire world both emotional and deeply unsettled. Because buried deep beneath layers of ancient soil and stone were the skeletons of two people tightly embracing each other, as if they never wanted to let go. The scene immediately reminded many people of a real-life Romeo and Juliet story. But the most chilling part is this: the couple had remained there for nearly 5,000 years. This extraordinary discovery was excavated in Karaganda, a region of Kazakhstan. From the moment the tomb was opened, researchers realized this was not a typical ancient burial. The two skeletons had been placed directly beside each other, their bodies almost intertwined as though even death itself could not separate them. For 5 millennia, beneath the cold soil of the Kazakh steppe, those two people had remained side by side in complete darkness. No one knows their names. No one knows what kind of lives they once lived. But that tight embrace alone is enough to make people feel that a mysterious story lies behind them. What makes the discovery even more fascinating is what archaeologists found nearby. Beside the male skeleton were several arrowheads and a metal dagger. These items suggest the man may have been a warrior or someone of significant status within his ancient community. Meanwhile, the female skeleton was buried alongside numerous pieces of jewelry made from gemstones and bronze. But the object that especially caught the attention of experts was a green bracelet that still remained on her arm after thousands of years buried underground. The entire scene looked like a moment frozen in time. A man buried with weapons, a woman adorned with precious jewelry, and both lying beside each other as though desperately trying to hold on to one another during the final moments of their lives. According to archaeologists, the remains most likely belong to an ancient married couple. But this is where the mystery truly begins. Archaeologist Igor Kukushkin, the leader of the excavation in Karaganda, Kazakhstan, believes the couple may once have sworn to stay together forever, and for some unknown reason, they died at the exact same moment. But there is another theory that is even more disturbing. One of them may have been killed in order to be buried alongside the other. And honestly, just hearing that possibility is enough to send chills down your spine. As you may know, many ancient civilizations practiced burial rituals in which living people were sacrificed to accompany the dead into the afterlife. That means the love story inside this tomb may not be entirely romantic after all. It may also contain tragedy, sacrifice, and death. However, Igor Kukushkin also stated that none of the current theories can be fully confirmed yet. According to him, it is entirely possible that the two individuals never even knew each other while they were alive. They may simply have died around the same time and been buried together according to the funeral customs of that era. Kukushkin explained that double burials like this are not especially rare in ancient archaeology, but what makes the Kazakhstan tomb unique is the unusual closeness of the two skeletons, creating the impression that they were truly embracing each other at the boundary between life and death. And the mystery does not end there. Right beside the couple's remains, archaeologists also discovered a small bronze chariot shaped as though it were being pulled by two horses. The scene resembles a ritual meant to carry the souls of the dead into the afterlife. Even more intriguing, archaeological evidence suggests that two real horses may have been intentionally killed and buried in order to create this ancient funeral chariot. That detail indicates the people buried in the tomb may have held extremely important status within their society. Although the tomb shows signs of having been looted in the distant past, strangely enough, the skeletons themselves remained almost completely untouched and undisturbed. Because of that, archaeologists have been given a rare opportunity to study the lives, relationship, and possible cause of death of this mysterious couple in far greater detail. And even today, after lying beneath the soil of Kazakhstan for more than 5,000 years, nobody knows exactly who they were. Were they truly husband and wife who loved each other until death? Were they tragic lovers torn apart by fate? Or were they simply two strangers accidentally buried side by side in a mysterious ancient ritual? Perhaps they carried the answer with them into the grave thousands of years ago. What about you? Who do you think they really were, and what secret do you believe lies behind this mysterious discovery? If you know anything about this excavation, don't hesitate to leave a comment and share your thoughts with everyone. 150-year-old mass grave in Poland containing skeletons that seem to be screaming beneath the earth. During the construction of a modern highway in eastern Poland, workers accidentally uncovered a deeply haunting mass grave, a place where dozens of skeletons lay piled on top of one another with their mouths wide open, as if they had been screaming beneath the earth for more than 150 years. This chilling discovery was excavated by archaeologists near the S17 highway connecting Lublin and Warsaw, close to the village of Zerdz in eastern Poland. At first, no one imagined that beneath the soil lay the remains of one of the bloodiest battles ever fought in the region during the 19th century. But as the first layers of earth were removed, experts began noticing large amounts of human bones emerging from the ground. And the deeper they dug, the heavier the atmosphere at the excavation site became. One skeleton after another appeared in twisted positions, lying tightly beside each other as though they had been hurriedly thrown into the pit after a brutal battle. What disturbed many people the most were the skulls. Numerous skeletons had jaws stretched unnaturally wide open, creating the horrifying impression that they were screaming or crying for help in the final moments before death. And honestly, just seeing a scene like that would be enough to give anyone chills. You would not be an exception. After comparing the findings with historical documents, experts confirmed that this was a mass grave connected to the Battle of Dzierżyn, which took place in 1863. It was a fierce battle during the Polish uprising against the Russian Empire in the 19th century. According to historical records, at that time a group of Russian soldiers was transporting military supplies and an extremely valuable shipment worth around 200,000 rubles, equivalent to roughly 2,500 pounds at the time. But while moving through the Dzierżyn area in what is now modern-day Poland, the convoy was ambushed by Polish insurgent forces. The battle became extremely violent. Nearly 200 Russian soldiers were killed during the fighting, while another 282 were captured. The soldiers who died were later buried together near the battlefield, and according to archaeologists, around 80 skeletons were discovered in the mass grave excavated in Zerdz, eastern Poland. What makes the discovery even more unsettling is that despite spending more than 150 years underground, the terrifying traces of war still seem visible on every skeleton. Some bodies were curled tightly inward. Others were piled on top of each other as though they had been buried in great haste immediately after the battle. And especially disturbing were the skulls with their mouths opened wide, creating the eerie feeling that the victims were still trapped in their final moments of pain. Experts believe this screaming appearance may have been caused naturally by the decomposition of the jaw muscles after death. However, for many people who witnessed the excavation site, the scene still felt deeply horrifying, as though the unfortunate soldiers were still trying to tell the story of what happened on that battlefield long ago. Beyond its archaeological importance, the discovery also reveals valuable new information about the Battle of Dzierżyn an event that once shocked 19th-century Polish history. The attack carried out by Polish insurgents against the Russian convoy is considered one of the greatest victories of the anti-Russian resistance movement during that period. But behind every line of history that records victory or defeat, there is always the death of countless human beings. And now, after more than 150 years forgotten beneath the ground, those skeletons have emerged into the light once again. Not as anonymous soldiers of a collapsed empire, but as the final surviving witnesses of a bloody battle from the past. And perhaps the most thought-provoking part of all this is that wars may end long ago, but the scars they leave behind sometimes remain buried beneath the earth for centuries, waiting for the day humanity accidentally uncovers them and is forced to confront the terrifying truths of history. 2 male skeletons, holding hands for 600 years, beneath the ground in London. While excavating land for the construction of the Crossrail Tunnel in central London, England, workers unexpectedly discovered 2 skeletons lying side by side beneath the earth. After examination by archaeologists, the remains were identified as 2 adult men dating back to the 15th century. Experts believe they may have died during the Black Death, the devastating plague pandemic that ravaged Europe after reaching London in 1348. The discovery was made in the Smithfield area, now located in central London, England. But during the Middle Ages, this site served as a massive mass burial ground used to bury victims of the plague. Researchers say that around 50,000 bodies were buried in this area during the height of the epidemic. As workers dug deeper underground for the Crossrail Tunnel project, they began uncovering layer upon layer of densely packed human remains. But among thousands of anonymous skeletons, one grave containing the remains of 2 men lying closely beside each other caused everyone to stop and stare. Their bodies had been placed parallel to one another, but their faces were turned toward each other. And the most remarkable detail of all was that the older man's hand still rested on the hand of the other, almost as if he were protecting or holding on to him during their final moments. According to further research, both men died at approximately 40 years old. Researcher Don Walker from the Museum of London Archaeology explained that this area had once been a cemetery specifically used for victims of the plague. He stated that the epidemic spread so rapidly that many families lost several members at the same time, making it common during that period for relatives to be buried together in the same grave. Because of this, experts suspect the 2 men may have been brothers or close family members. But things became even more mysterious when archaeologists closely examined the way the bodies had been positioned inside the grave. Don Walker believes it is possible the men were not actually holding hands when they died. Instead, someone may have intentionally placed their hands together before burial, and that possibility gives the grave far more emotional meaning than a typical burial ritual. If the 2 men were related, it may have been a family's way of ensuring they would remain together forever after death. But if they were not related by blood, the story becomes even more thought-provoking. It's entirely possible they were lovers, Don Walker suggested, and honestly, just hearing that idea is enough to leave many people stunned. Because during the harsh reality of the Middle Ages, in a time when plague and death spread across London, there may have existed a relationship so deeply personal that history never recorded it. What makes this grave so haunting is not simply the fact that the 2 skeletons have remained hand in hand for more than 600 years, but the feeling that they were still trying to hold on to each other amid the greatest catastrophe of their era. Scientists are currently conducting DNA testing to determine whether the 2 men were biologically related. Those results may help solve part of the mystery behind the unusual grave beneath the streets of London. But even today, whether they were brothers, friends, or lovers, the story of these 2 skeletons continues to move people around the world. Because in the middle of a pandemic that claimed millions of lives, amid chaos, fear, and death, there were still 2 human beings buried side by side, never letting go of each other's hands for more than 6 centuries. And honestly, that is deeply emotional, isn't it? 2,100-year-old human skeleton found at the bottom of the ocean. In early September 2016, in the Mediterranean Sea near the Greek island of Antikythera, archaeologists discovered something that stunned the entire world: the skeleton of an ancient human still lying inside the wreckage of a mysterious sunken ship. At a depth of about 180 feet beneath the surface, where sunlight can barely reach, the skeleton rested silently among rotting wooden beams, ancient statues, and countless treasures from the ancient Roman world. And the most chilling part is this: for more than 2,100 years, this man had remained at the bottom of the sea as if waiting for someone to finally tell his last story. The discovery was made by an international team of archaeologists during their investigation of the Antikythera shipwreck, the famous ancient vessel named after the Greek island of Antikythera, near where it sank thousands of years ago. According to scientists, the ship may have gone down sometime around the early years of the Common Era, or possibly even earlier during the pre-Christian period. Many experts believe that while traveling through the dangerous rocky waters near Antikythera Island, the ship violently collided with cliffs along the coastline. The impact was likely so catastrophic that the vessel shattered apart and sank rapidly before the people on board had any chance to escape. And the skeleton discovered in September 2016 may belong to one of the unfortunate victims of that disaster. What amazed archaeologists most is that despite lying underwater for more than 2,000 years, the shipwreck, priceless artifacts, and even the human skeleton remained extraordinarily well preserved. The cold and undisturbed environment at the bottom of the sea accidentally transformed the site into a gigantic time capsule of the ancient world. In fact, part of the Antikythera shipwreck had already been discovered in the early 1900s. As soon as the first artifacts were brought to the surface, the archaeological world was shocked by their incredible value. Afterward, countless treasure hunters and explorers rushed to the area hoping to uncover more life-changing treasures. Yet for more than 100 years, most of the ship continued to rest silently beneath the ocean, never fully explored. It was not until the 2016 excavation that many of the wreck's remaining secrets finally began to emerge. During this expedition, archaeologists recovered numerous valuable objects scattered around the wreck site. But there was one artifact that completely stunned scientists because of how advanced it seemed for its time. It was an ancient device containing an incredibly complex system of bronze gears. Many people call it the world's first computer. This famous artifact is known as the Antikythera mechanism, an ancient mechanical device used by the Romans to track the movements of the moon, the sun, and astronomical events. It almost sounds impossible, doesn't it? Because more than 2,000 years ago, while much of the world was still relying on extremely primitive tools, ancient people had already created a precision gear system so sophisticated that even modern engineers remain astonished by it today. That alone has made the Antikythera shipwreck one of the most mysterious archaeological discoveries in human history. But perhaps the most important discovery is not the treasure or the artifacts, but the skeleton itself, the man who remained beneath the sea for more than 2 millennia. According to experts, DNA preserved in the bones may allow scientists to determine where he came from, what ethnic group he belonged to, how old he was when he died, and they may even be able to reconstruct his actual face. In other words, after more than 2,100 years lying beneath the waters of Greece, this unknown man may one day come back to life through modern science. And honestly, that is truly incredible. Dear viewers, after everything we've just explored, perhaps the most terrifying thing is not the ancient skeletons, the buried tombs, or the shipwrecks that have rested deep beneath the ocean for thousands of years. What truly haunts humanity is the fact that history still seems to be hiding far too many secrets that even modern science cannot fully explain to this day. A mysterious doorway beneath the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt, 2 skeletons holding hands for more than 600 years in London, England, or a 2,100-year-old human skeleton lying beside an ancient shipwreck beneath the waters of Greece. All of them feel like fragments of memory left behind by a world that disappeared long ago. So do you think that right now, beneath vast deserts, under the foundations of modern cities, or in the deepest parts of the ocean, there are still thousands of ancient secrets waiting to be discovered? If you do, don't hesitate to leave a comment below and share your thoughts so we can discuss them together. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any other fascinating discoveries from ancient history. For now, goodbye, and I'll see you again in the next video.